everybody. Welcome. welcome to a Monday night from Studio B. Now it's a chilly, blustery night out there, one of quite a few that are coming our way. I think most of the country's, I don't know, from the Midwest over here, going through something. Even if you don't get any snow, you're getting some freeze again. But the real reason why we are here in Studio B is because after the festivities that are about to begin right now, for the 7 o'clock show, conclude at 9 o'clock, we're going right into the inaugural session of Film Club, which I just can't wait to do, and I'm looking forward to it. And for those of you who are interested in it after tonight and you want to join up, upon joining up, I'll give you the rerun. You'll be able to watch it. You'll be ready for the next one. Anyway, that'll be great. That's at 9 o'clock. But for tonight, we're going to spend the next 2 hours just sifting through some news. A lot of it is really interesting. So, most of it comes from Europe or somewhere else. We're going to be talking about some tears in Munich. We got to listen to about 6 to 8 minutes worth of this 15-minute speech that JD Vance delivered in Munich, which led to a European parliamentarian or part of the Munich Security Conference or whatever the hell it was, a political figure, literally crying like a baby. And it's great. Good stuff. I'm down for it. I'm down with it. Title of tonight's show is called Low Tide at the Pier, because that's what I really, that's all I can keep saying to myself at this point. You could just see it, whether it be the DOGE stuff and any kind of poking into the finances, the lifeblood, the inner circulatory system of the deep state. Any of the wailing about that and the propagandizing and all that, or what we're seeing in Europe right now, when the hegemony of this kind of world order is in any way upset, you can say that people like JD Vance and Donald Trump are not far outside of the inside as inside players, but they're far out enough to where it's causing legitimate upset, and I'm fine with that. I like that. I'm good with it. And tonight, I would like to just pick through that with you and just take calls all the way along. So it'll almost be an extended grab bag kind of an evening with your calls sprinkled in. So I'm going to be leaving those open throughout the evening. That's 914-200-0269, 914-200-0269. That's where you're calling. Live from Studio B on the 17th day of February, 2025. It's really just a good night. I'm excited about it. So tomorrow night, let me just get this out of the way. Tomorrow night we have, let me see. Tomorrow night we might have a couple of friends stopping by, calling in. I want to talk about positive celebrity encounters thread, a little bit of this and that. It should be a good topic of conversation tomorrow night. And then on Wednesday we have Marley Hornick calling in, formerly of New York Citizen Audit. I want to talk about California. I want to talk about New York. I want to talk about what should be concentrated on now when there is a little bit of, quite a bit of a mandate and public attention paid to how ridiculous our elections are. I mean, you just think about, once again, 2020 to 2024. It's not that we saw 8 million to 9 million, 10 million votes be transferred from one party to the other. We saw them disappear in elections that only get bigger and bigger, that are only more and more hyped up. They disappeared. So I think Marley would be really interesting to ask, an interesting person to ask that question. Where do you think where it all went to? Might be rhetorical at this point, but what can New York, what can California, what can red states do to clean things up so we can actually know what the real issues are and where the mandate really lies, because it's probably a much bigger mandate than anybody could ever think. Now, on Thursday the 20th, I think Jay Gulanello is going to be coming in, if it doesn't really snow bad or anything like that, and I'll be home or something. But then Friday the 21st, Albert Taylor, paranormal, out-of-body experiences, things like that. And then February 22nd, this Saturday night, we got a Saturday night special with the Zaraza boys. Me, Anthony, and Mike back together again. Be a night of just sifting through old media and getting nostalgic, and I'll pack a hookah and all that good stuff. And then we have great things bubbling for next week as well. So just get excited, my friends. Please get excited. So that's that. That's that. Okay, into the grab bag we go. First one up. Oh, just a little bit of a reminder for those of you who want to take part in tomorrow night's show and not have it be a phone call. But here it is. Go to quitefrankly.tv, the forum. Click the forum, and this is pinned toward the top. Positive celebrity interactions and memorable moments. We already have 2 pages worth of stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, get on in there. Oh, looks like we have a Richard Nixon moment that's already been added in there. Very nice. All right, go do that. Thank you so much. What else do we have? Oh, the Pope remains hospitalized, and it's probably not going to work out. I don't know. I can see him leaving very, very soon, leaving the earth. Pope will remain in the hospital as doctors treat a complex respiratory tract infection, the Vatican says. Pope Francis' respiratory tract infection is presenting a complex clinical picture that will require further hospitalization, the Vatican said Monday, as concerns grew about the increasingly frail health of the 88-year-old pontiff. Vatican spokesman Matteo Bruni said the results of the test conducted in recent days and Monday indicate the Pope is suffering from a polymicrobial respiratory tract infection that has necessitated further change in his drug therapy. Scientists say polymicrobial diseases are caused by a mix of viruses, bacteria, fungus, and parasites. Well, that's a lot. There's no time frame given for his hospitalization, which at day 4 has already sidelined Francis longer than a 2023 hospitalization for pneumonia. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that hospitalization. People were saying that it was like colon cancer or something. But Bruni said that the complexity of his symptoms will require an appropriate hospital stay. Now, I wouldn't, if he survives this year, I'd be very surprised, given his health and his age. And it's crazy because this year, my birthday's April 2nd. April 2nd this year is going to be 20 years to the day that John Paul II died. Died on my birthday in 2005. So, the big year, strange stuff. All right, well, all of the online hype about where DOGE is going to go next has led us to Fort Knox. Zero Hedge tweeted out the other day, tweeted out 2 days ago on Saturday, it would be great if Elon Musk could take a look inside of Fort Knox just to make sure that the 4,580 tons of U.S. gold is there. Last time anyone looked was 50 years ago in 1974. Okay. He said that. Elon Musk said, surely it's reviewed at least every year. And you know who responded to that? A Paul. The Paul child, Rand Paul. Rand Paul said, nope, it's not reviewed every year. Let's do it. So if that gets any kind of weight behind it, if that is actually done, oh, that would be interesting. That would be very interesting right there. Fort Knox. Is a Fort Knox gold audit coming? Rand Paul signaled interest, and I guess from there we will see. But there's so much more to do tonight, and there's no real reason to do any more up front before the intro because it's all going to be of the same nature. I just wanted to give some people some time to get their asses in their seats, to get comfy and cozy and all that stuff, and we will see you guys on the other side of the intro. So, be good. And we will be right back.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's roll! Hit that
7:11 p.m. on the East Coast. Okay, so let's just get into it, shall we? Because there's a lot going on, and of course there's some breaking news, some more stuff going on in the skies. This time it's in Canada. Aircraft is upside down and burning. Breaking 911 has tweeted this out by way of CBS Evening News. We're going to be talking a little bit more about CBS later on. The aircraft is upside down and burning. Here's the latest on the Delta plane crash in Toronto. Let me do this for a second. Here we go. Take a look.
The aircraft is upside down and burning.
Passengers on Delta Flight 4819 crawled out of the upside-down airliner after it crash-landed in Toronto. Flight attendants and fellow flyers helped each other escape.
Damn thing's upside
Another
down.
passenger's cell phone video captures the scene.
For those of you who are in podcast land, this thing is upside down. Its wings are off. Obviously, if it was rolling and turning and all that, the wings would be a little bit of a hindrance. So it makes perfect sense to me that they've been snapped off in the process. I can't wait. And I think everybody's accounted for, which is the most important thing. But I can't wait to see how the hell this happened. Because it's an airport, so there must be everything happening there has to be covered from thousands of angles.
Moments later.
We just landed. Our plane crashed. It's upside down.
All 80 people, 76 passengers and 4 crew got out. The plane came to rest upside down. The wings and tail appear ripped off. The front landing gear pointing to the sky.
Most people appear to be okay.
Delta says at least 18 people were hurt, 3 critically, including a child. Other injuries were described as minor to moderate. What goes through your mind when you look at these images?
It says a lot about the integrity of how well the jets are actually built, the fact that the fuselage is still intact, the fact that the passengers, everyone is walking away from this situation is a very good thing.
Airline captain Laura Einsettler.
Having flown in Toronto many times, it is challenging with the winter conditions. You have to be on top of icing situations, both for the runway, also for the aircraft. They're going to be looking at wind shears, possibly anything that could actually have turned the aircraft over like that.
The CRJ 900 regional jet was coming from Minneapolis. It was a snowy and frigid day in Toronto with strong crosswinds and gusts up to 40 miles per hour. The airport had received about 2 feet of snow in the last week.
It can be challenging to come in with different stronger winds, wind shear, things of that nature.
Chris, it appears that everybody had their seatbelt on. How much of a difference did that make when you talked to experts today?
I guess they got to ask something. How much do you think seatbelts helped out in preserving life when a plane is tumbling and twisting and turning and rolling all over the place instead of staying on its wheels, its landing gear? Do you think that the seatbelts played a factor in keeping anybody moderately safe? Chris, go ahead. Boy, I wonder what he's going to say.
Well, Robert Sumwalt, former NTSB chair, really keyed into that. You know, those seats are designed to withstand 16 times the force of gravity, but they only really work if you're wearing your seatbelt.
You're safer if you wear your seatbelt during a plane crash. Well, I guess a crash, whatever the hell it is, we got to see. Because it wasn't like that thing that happened in Philadelphia that everybody completely forgot about all of a sudden. Just came down to the ground. So there had to have been some gliding going on there. But what the hell happened? The twisting and the breaking apart of the tail and the wings. So keep your eye out for that. There's a little bit of footage from them getting out of the plane. Take a look at this or listen to this.
Everything, drop it. Come on. Don't take your video. Get that phone away. Holy fuck. Holy fuck.
Wow.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking God.
Okay, well, he just survived a plane crash. I guess you can give him a little bit of leeway there. I would be praying instead of cursing God. But, geez, Louise. Think about crawling out of that thing. All that said, the Delta crew getting people out of there quick. Good on them. Wow. So that's happening. That just happened. I saw it just getting around a little bit before we started. And there you go. So just throwing that out there. Okay, well, into some other news. Here we have it. We did a little bit of Fort Knox in the opening, and now we're going back to DOGE. We're going back to Social Security. That's where we are right now. Listen to this by way of Zero Hedge. Okay? Headline, this might be the biggest fraud in history. Stephen Miller exposes massive fraud. Foreign nationals coming to the United States using fake Social Security numbers and fake identities to steal billions in taxpayer benefits. Cracking down on this fraud could save $1 trillion over 10 years. Take a listen to this, then we'll get into the details.
What are the plans to do so if those records are obtained?
Well, as we know, there's a massive amount of fraud in this country. You have, for example, foreign fraud rings. These are foreign nationals who come into the United States. They use fake Social Security numbers. They use fake identities to steal billions in taxpayer benefits. There's no way to know until DOGE gains full access exactly how much money we're talking about. But over a 10-year normal budget window, you could be talking about saving over $1 trillion by clamping down on massive fraud in our tax and entitlement systems.
Just imagine them using your grandparents' and great-grandparents' numbers. Because it's happening to some of you guys. You don't even know it. It's happening. Some ancestor of yours has definitely voted. Some dead and gone ancestor of yours has definitely voted in the last 5 years. Okay? An ancestor of yours had died 50 years ago. Somebody out there in this audience, I would say a few of you, have voted and are also collecting benefits. Elon Musk was expected to remain offline Sunday night into Monday morning as his XAI team prepared for the highly anticipated debut of Grok 3, scheduled for release Monday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to happen in a few minutes. However, the head of the Department of Government Efficiency, tasked with streamlining of the federal bureaucracy, returned with very excited to his social media platform around midnight, unveiling what might be the biggest fraud in history. You got to hear this. Musk posted a spreadsheet of Social Security Administration data showing, quote, numbers of people in each age bucket or bracket with the death field set to false. Okay? This means that they're alive and they're collecting. The data shows that 20.789 million Americans are collecting Social Security benefits that are over the age of 100. Drilling down into the age buckets, benefits are still being paid out to folks over 140. He said maybe Twilight is real and there are a lot of vampires collecting Social Security, Musk emphasized. Now, here's the crazy thing. From 0 to 9, age 0 to 9, 38.8 million. 10 to 19 age people. But when you get down to the bottom, this is the big thing. This is the big one. And I think this is as literal as that we have one person in this country that is between the age of 360 and 369 years old. I mean, older than the Republic itself. 1,039 people who are between the ages of 220 and 229 years old. 6,087 people between the ages of 170 and 179. There are 121,807 160-year-old plus people out there. There's also, it's not funny. It's not funny to actually see the numbers of to see what we have assumed for so many years. And again, a lot of what I wasn't asking that question of people out there. Hey, can you explain what was going on in these construction zones where after Donald Trump is elected, all of a sudden entire construction sites are gone because people are afraid of ICE, meaning that most of the people that are on these construction sites are not American citizens and they don't want to be deported, which begged the question, how the hell are employers getting away with employing largely illegal aliens? How are you getting away with it? You can't pay everybody under the table. You can't do it. And of course, we got some really great insight to people out there in the audience, and this just drills down. We got 40 million numbers out there. 40 million numbers out there that people can just tap into. Tap into. And where's all that money going? This is on top of everything else that it's given state programs, local programs, whatever the hell it is. Musk, one ex-user pointed out that 2023 data show the U.S. population is around 334.9 million people. However, Musk's data, largely from DOGE's Big Balls analyst, shows 394 million names in the Social Security Administration database. Musk responded, yes, there are far more eligible Social Security numbers than there are citizens in the United States. This might be the biggest fraud in history. I just kept thinking about the debates I had with some family members at a family function back in 2019. I know it was 2019 because on this very trip that we went to visit people and be together and all that stuff, it was the day that we heard that Jeffrey Epstein had been erased. All right, I raced back home to do a little impromptu show with you guys that Saturday night. It was a very exciting day. And I remember everything going on that day, including the Social Security conversations I was having with family members who kept saying, we were adamant about saving it. No, we have to save it, have to make it work. You can't talk to people like that. You can't. Nothing gets through. It's not supposed to work. It's not supposed to be allowed. And this is why. And I mean, this is now. This is when everything's been made digital. It's probably so much easier. But my gosh, I keep thinking about the debates I had with family members about this years ago. And here we are. We actually have real data. Just incredible. 334.9 million people, according to the census data or something from 2023, which of course doesn't break down whether or not you're a citizen. The government has sworn off, at least at this point, even trying to figure out, ascertain how many people are actually citizens. So the fact that we overshoot all of that, that's just nuts. Maybe we pause payments to everyone 120 years and older until they can authenticate that they're among the living to start, said Representative Mike Collins from Georgia. Yes, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. Collins is far too conservative. Lawmakers should freeze payments over the age bucket of 100 until a clear determination could be made where taxpayer funds are disappearing in this possible money pit that smells like fraud. If DOGE's numbers are right, $522 billion, 1/3 of all spending on Social Security each year is fraudulent. 1/3, at least. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And this doesn't include potential fraud from fake beneficiaries below the age of 100. For example, people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. By math and adjusting for a normalized age distribution, this could bring the total of fraud to about $793 billion per year. We're close to $1 trillion already. It gets worse. No doubt about it. So I'm glad. I'm glad it's happening. I'm glad we have all of this. And here's the crazy thing here, too. I know you saw some of these threads about the property listings in Washington, D.C. It's something else to really behold. I saw the Daily Mail. Darth Powell put this up on Twitter. Washington, D.C. housing market plummets as DOGE lays off thousands of federal workers. Well, it's not so much the workers. It's the money. It's the money. Here's another one. Like these graphs are popping up all over the place. You can see all of the new listings put onto the market in Washington, D.C. Now, you can say, oh, you know, federal workers are being laid off. But what we're looking at here is massive. The average home has to be about $750,000, maybe more, because most of the things I'm seeing are in the millions. Millions. Every last one of those dots, and they keep popping up. You've been seeing them popping up a lot. There's spikes all over the place. So I'm saying, okay, if you're a federal worker, I get it. You've been laid off. You don't really see that the bureaucracy, at least for the next 4 years, is going to expand too much. And if it does expand, which would be terrible, because I'm not concerned, and neither should you be, about getting the right people in those positions. The positions need to go. But it would be really something. It's really to understand what people were getting paid with to afford $6 million mansions, $3.99 million. Oh, I got laid off from my government job. Better put my $4 million, my $5.29 million house on the market and leave. But what were you getting paid by the government? What were you possibly getting paid? $4.49 million. Government salary? Get the hell out of here. This is so much bigger than federal employees getting laid off. If what these housing listings really, if they're accurate, which they have to be. Rogue Lou 17 put together this thread. Thought was interesting. Lauren said, I'm feeling spunky. Let's see who's selling houses in D.C. Number 1, Voter Participation Center, Deputy Director of Mail Programs and World Bank Consultant. $835,000, 2 bedrooms, 3 baths, 1,700 square feet townhouse. Kiplinger, Washington Editors Associate Publisher and freelance writer and music composer from Mexico. $2.9 million house. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that house. It's like one of the houses that's in the Lady and the Tramp's neighborhood. I wonder what cartoon dog lives there. Washington Editors Associate Publisher and freelance. Gotta leave town. Secretary on Capitol Hill in White House, owner of Waterways Council, opposed to Regulation Extension Incorporated. $23.5 million. Looks like the Eyes Wide Shut mansion from Long Island. What the hell am I even looking at here? You can't tell me people are getting up and leaving just because Trump. This signals something far bigger to me than just a government job. Then again, media, whatever the hell it is, we saw how billions, trillions were going into these companies and these media outlets. And so, she goes on to this girl, Lauren, Rogue Lou, 18, goes on, and you can see the rest of them here. $575,000, international business consultant for internet governance and digital policy. Data strategy manager, AI and data, $848,000. $1.6 million, Fuse Pilates founder, $13.5 million. I don't even know. I don't even know. These are like the only time I've seen houses like this are generated animations and like video games and stuff. Grand Theft Auto or something. That's the only time I've been in backyards like that. Grand Theft Auto or something else. I don't know. But there was one comment I saw somebody leave in one of these threads about in particular, all of the real estate that's getting moved around right now and listed in Washington, D.C. I had to take it, copy it, and paste it. Someone said, I wonder if Zillow has historical data showing the average number of listings within the first 30 days after a presidential inauguration. It would be really interesting. I don't know. I mean, Zillow's been around long enough for there to be a pretty good sample of data that can be analyzed and I guess, from there extrapolated out. But wherever you can find that, if anybody out there is good at, sleuthing something like that up, that would be interesting. Because you got to imagine, especially when things are changing hands, you're changing parties and administrations, and they're diametrically opposed in one way or another to whatever degree they can be diametrically opposed. You got to imagine there's a little bit of outgoing and incoming and whatever. People setting up shop. I just don't see it. You set up shop temporarily at $3.5 million mansion? Maybe. I mean, who knows the perks of living in that life, especially if you've put in the years. But that would be interesting to see how within the margin of normal this is. Within the first 30 days after a presidential inauguration, how many people do you really see flying the coop like this and leaving it all behind? Because in 2016, if you remember, that was one of the things that we were all tracking. Whereas most presidents, outgoing administrations just kind of take some time, no matter who they are. George W. Bush, doesn't matter who they are. They kind of take some time for themselves and leave town. They and their friends, they take a little vacation time. Then maybe they start shopping around and getting their resumes out there, and showing up at one firm or another, and who the hell knows. Barack Obama and his people did not, they moved in. Barack Obama got a house that was a couple of blocks away from the White House. That was during Trump. So even though Trump came in, there was a new sheriff in town in 2016. Nobody left town. Not in a significant enough way that we were taking note of. What we were taking note of is that it seemed like Barack Obama was setting up operations, some kind of a strategic location in Washington, D.C., because the work had already begun. And of course, what was that work being done on the backs of? A lot of the money that is being frozen and exposed right now. That's what's going on. Donald Trump was only a couple of weeks into his administration in 2017. They already had, Michael Flynn dead to rights and the whole Russia thing, the seeds planted for that. And that took up 3.5 years. Whatever the hell it was, 3 years? Nuts. So if anybody out there wants a challenge, and if you can find any publicly available data, I would really like to see what you come up with there. Historical data showing the average number of listings within the first 30 days after a presidential inauguration. So there's that. Okay, let's see. Now I want to sit back and I want to watch something with you. JD Vance, he spoke for about 18 minutes or so in Munich at the security conference. And I want to put it up on screen for you and just watch a little bit of it, because it's really, he's fantastic in public. He really is. Now I understand. I understand why he was picked, and he can really hold his own. And again, it takes a lot of guts to throw this out at people in their faces. Does he mean it? Is he compromised? Everybody always wonders that. As long as this is spoken out in public, this plants seeds. This does really good things. And then when you juxtapose this with everything that's coming out in the media, most notably CBS, and people have pointed this out today too, it's really going to hit home. So I wanted to listen to 6 to 8 minutes of this with you. All right. This was from Friday. It was really something. We're going to start around the 2-minute mark.
Well, thank you. And thanks to all.
Give me a second.
All the gathered delegates. And
can I listen to it? Can I go to the 2-minute mark? All right, I'm just going to listen to it on Twitter then. That's where I can scroll. Give me a second.
Of course, external security.
Here you go. All right, we're just going to go here. I found this on, there's a lot of people that shared it. This is Chuck L on Twitter. But take a listen to this. Enjoy it with me. We can stop along the way.
Many great military leaders gathered here today. But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security and believes that we can come to a reasonable settlement between Russia and Ukraine. And we also believe that it's important in the coming years for Europe to step up in a big way to provide for its own defense. The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America. Now,
and you're not going nuts. I put the speed up to 1.25, okay? Just for a little bit of brevity. That doesn't take away from what he's saying here. So you're not going nuts. I put it up just a tad.
Struck that a former European commissioner went on television recently and sounded delighted that the Romanian government had just annulled an entire election. He warned that if things don't go to plan, the very same thing could happen in Germany too. Now, these cavalier statements are shocking to American ears. For years, we've been told that everything we fund and support is in the name of our shared democratic values. Everything from our Ukraine policy to digital censorship is billed as a defense of democracy. But when we see European courts canceling elections and senior officials threatening to cancel others, we ought to ask whether we're holding ourselves to an appropriately high standard. And I say ourselves because I fundamentally believe that we are on the same team. We must do more than talk about democratic values, we must live them. Now, within living memory of many of you in this room, the Cold War positioned defenders of democracy against much more tyrannical forces on this continent. And consider the side in that fight that censored dissidents.
Yeah, consider that side. What? Yes? Who is that? What is that I see? What are you doing over here? You coming to say goodnight? Coming to say good morning? Here, real quick. How you doing? How you feeling?
Give me that coin.
What coin?
This coin.
Is that how you ask? If you would like to play with that coin.
May I please have that coin?
This coin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So flip it, Daddy.
You want me to flip it?
Yep. It says no.
Okay, so if it says, so what are we flipping on?
So when it says go for it, then one night when we go out,
yeah,
I want you to do dinner plan one night.
So wait, okay, so if it says go for it when we go out one night, I have to do what?
You have to get a reservation for us.
Oh, okay. If it says go for it, then I have to take you and Mommy out to dinner?
Yes.
And if it says forget it, then it means what? Then we don't go out to dinner?
No.
Okay, let's see. Ready? Ready?
Yep.
It says forget it.
Okay, then do it 5 times and do it.
You want me to just keep flipping until it says go for it?
Mm-hmm.
It says forget it again. See? Forget.
Stop saying forget it. Just go on.
I told you. Hey, listen, you want me to flip? Last time. Okay, it says go for it.
Yeah.
There you go. We won.
That means tomorrow you do it.
We can go out to dinner tomorrow.
Why?
It's Tuesday because I'll have to go to the studio.
Oh, great. Daddy is.
Wait, hey. No.
Oh, but...
Well, hey, come on. All right, love you. See, what was that? You keep flipping until you get what you want? What is this? Someone said, such a woman. I know. Best of 3, the art of the deal. Keep going until I get what I need. Okay, anyway, let's go. Here we go. All right, on. So it's crazy because here he is just talking to people who are always talking about the rise of the right, the rise of some sort of Nazi-esque party. And it's crazy because for all the hand-wringing over, especially the so-called Nazi threat, liberals, especially in Europe, but their counterparts in the United States who love things like the bloodbath in Ukraine that they have a hand in from the beginning, they're gleefully funding the most well-known Nazi force on the planet in Ukraine. You got that junkie CIA protege president who eliminated Democratic representation for his political opponents. We know this stuff, but it takes balls to say this right to the people's face who can't ignore you anymore, and at least not for the next 4 years. They can go on with their LARP. When somebody comes in and doesn't play along, it makes it all look very, very bad. And of course, the real message is for little people out there, the everyday people. And that's what this is about. Take a listen to more.
Closed churches that canceled elections. Were they the good guys? Certainly not. And thank God they lost the Cold War. They lost because they neither valued nor respected all of the extraordinary blessings of liberty. The freedom to surprise, to make mistakes, to invent, to build. As it turns out, you can't mandate innovation or creativity, just as you can't force people what to think, what to feel, or what to believe. And we believe those things are certainly connected. And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action.
Okay, now listen, remember that. Remember that. Because then this next thing that we do is going to make a lot of sense.
I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief.
Wow.
And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before.
That, by the way, is something that people like Justice Ketanji Brown loves that. Loves that. There is no freedom of speech if you're saying a prayer in front of an abortion clinic. You stay the hell away. Don't you dare. You have no right. No right to even be present. Not even if you're, forget about even interacting with people. Solicitation, if you want to call it that. But my, oh my. I mean, listen, he's throwing it right out there. I appreciate it all. Couple more minutes left.
Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to...
That could influence a person's decision, which is crazy in and of itself, because what would be the influence? In which direction would that decision be made? Or in which direction would a person be pushed? You know, if you're going to an abortion clinic to terminate a pregnancy, it's almost as if this is the most sacred and powerful thing that a person can do for themselves, a woman can do. Most powerful choice they can make to be able to end that child and to maintain their liberty as a strong woman. To influence a person, to err on the side of life. I mean, listen, whatever the hell, the fact that is the state's position, that they err on the side of death in that position, in that situation, instead of allowing open debate, so that if a person is set in their ways and they are doing it and there's nothing that's going to stop them, then so be it, say a prayer. What are you going to do? It's a horrible, horrible reality that this is so ingrained in our culture right now. But the fact that there may be some rational some interchange between people that would save a British life if you are talking from the, from a nativist standpoint. Like, what? I can't believe it. But that's where we're at. Yeah, on the downside of the slippery slope, no doubt.
Pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person. But no, this last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law. Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizens suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat. And in the interest of comedy, my friends, but also in the interest of truth, I will admit that sometimes the loudest voices for censorship have come not from within Europe, but from within my own country, where the prior administration threatened and bullied social media companies to censor so-called misinformation. Misinformation like, for example, the idea that coronavirus had likely leaked from a laboratory in China. Our own government encouraged private companies to silence people who dared to utter what turned out to be an obvious truth. So I come here today not just with an observation, but with an offer. And just as the Biden administration seemed desperate to silence people for speaking their minds, so the Trump administration will do precisely the opposite, and I hope that we can work together on that. In Washington, there is a new sheriff in town. And under Donald Trump's leadership, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square, agree or disagree.
There's 6 people. You have to watch it for yourself if you are in podcast land. You have to watch it for yourself to see how it's morgue-like in there.
Now, we're at the point, of course, that the situation has gotten so bad that this December, Romania straight up canceled the results of a presidential election based on the flimsy suspicions of an intelligence agency and enormous pressure from its continental neighbors. Now, as I understand it, the argument was that Russian disinformation had infected the Romanian elections. But I'd ask my European friends to have some perspective. You can believe it's wrong for Russia to buy social media advertisements to influence your elections. We certainly do. You can condemn it on the world stage even. But if your democracy can be destroyed with a few $100,000 of digital advertising from a foreign country, then it wasn't very strong to begin with.
No doubt. No doubt. Oh, no doubt. That's what we were laughing about in 2016. Like $150,000 on Facebook. Yeah. And it wasn't even for, and that's the best part. It wasn't even for all Donald Trump. Some of it was spent on Hillary. Some of it was spent on Bernie. Some of it was spent on Trump. But the whole thing had to be thrown out. That was 2 people clapping. 7 people clapped before. 2 people clap now. Because this is how absurd it is, and nobody is out there to counter the LARP. Nobody's usually out there to counter the LARP. For them to say hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent, and you think about the money that we're finding floating around that we knew that was out there, but you think about the money that we're watching now floating around through all the NGOs, through Social Security, through everything else, USAID, all that other stuff. When you think about the money that is going around, that we're actually putting money into George Soros's pockets so that he can spend it through open societies back in the United States. That's not even his money. It's our money in many ways. It's hilarious when they go out there and say $150,000 of Facebook ads, when most of that ad money is eaten up by click farms in Romania or in Timbuktu or something like that, Minnesota. It's ridiculous. And it's just it's satisfying to hear somebody say, if your democracy can be taken down by, such a paltry budget, then do you really have a democracy? Are you a serious nation? No, you're not. I love that. That's just so satisfying. All right, so there's a little bit more. Yeah, a couple more seconds here, then I have another timestamp, and that'll be it for the first half.
Now, the good news is that I happen to think your democracies are substantially less brittle than many people apparently fear. And I really do believe that allowing our citizens to speak their mind will make them stronger still. Which, of course, brings us back to Munich, where the organizers of this very conference have banned lawmakers representing populist parties on both the left and the right from participating in these conversations. Now, again, we don't have to agree with everything or anything that people say. But when people represent, when political leaders represent an important constituency, it is incumbent upon us to at least participate in dialogue with them. Now, to many of us on the other side of the Atlantic, it looks more and more like old entrenched interests, hiding behind ugly Soviet-era words like misinformation and disinformation, who simply don't like the idea that somebody with an alternative viewpoint might express a different opinion, or, God forbid, vote a different way, or, even worse, win an election.
Now, he goes on to say, what are we defending ourselves from? It was a statement about what are we defending ourselves from when you think about something like NATO or Russian threat or a threat from here, the China, whatever the threat du jour is. What are we defending ourselves from versus what are we defending ourselves for? What are we preserving? What are we trying to make sure that we are secured in our position to allow to survive? What are we giving to our children? And it's the inside nature of this whole thing that is really most disturbing, especially when it gets around to the immigration part, which is essentially suicide. And for what cause or another, it's that's where the homicide comes in. There's a lot of people out there who have been tricked into wanting this for their countries. That's the altruistic suicide end of it. But there are homicidal, genocidal maniacs at the top of that migrant crisis holding all the strings.
Like who gets to be a part of our shared society? And of all the pressing challenges that the nations represented here face, I believe there is nothing more urgent than mass migration. Today, almost 1 in 5 people living in this country moved here from abroad. That is, of course, an all-time high. It's a similar number, by the way, in the United States, also an all-time high. The number of immigrants who entered the EU from non-EU countries doubled between 2021 and 2022 alone, and of course, it's gotten much higher since. And we know the situation, it didn't materialize in a vacuum. It's a result of a series of conscious decisions made by politicians all over the continent and others across the world over the span of a decade. We saw the horrors wrought by these decisions yesterday in this very city. And of course, I can't bring it up again without thinking about the terrible victims who had a beautiful winter day in Munich ruined. Our thoughts and prayers are with them and will remain with them. But why did this happen in the first place? It's a terrible story, but it's one we've heard way too many times in Europe and unfortunately too many times in the United States as well. An asylum seeker, often a young man in his mid-20s, already known to police, rams a car into a crowd and shatters a community. How many times must we suffer these appalling setbacks before we change course and take our shared civilization in a new direction? No voter on this continent went to the ballot box to open the floodgates to millions of unvetted immigrants. But you know what they did vote for? In England, they voted for Brexit, and agree or disagree, they voted for it. And more all over Europe, they're voting for political leaders who promise to put an end to out-of-control migration. Now, I happen to agree with a lot of these concerns, but you don't have to agree with me. I just think that people care about their homes, they care about their dreams, they care about their safety and their capacity to provide for themselves and their children. And they're smart. I think this is one of the most important things I've learned in my brief time in politics. Contrary to what you might hear a couple mountains over in Davos, the citizens of all of our nations don't generally think of themselves as educated animals or as interchangeable cogs of a global economy. And it's hardly surprising that they don't want to be shuffled about or relentlessly ignored by their leaders. And it is the business of democracy to adjudicate these big questions at the ballot box. I believe that dismissing people, dismissing their concerns, or worse yet, shutting down media, shutting down elections, or shutting people out of the political process protects nothing.
Boom. Yeah. Especially when you think about what's behind that last part. Think about, and we always come back around to this kind of imagery where what's the purpose of government? Even if our government was acting within its approved boundaries, which is very, very small and limited, but it's not. think about where they are, where everybody is right now, and what the average day in someone like Chuck Schumer's life is all about. The average day is using our money to fight with people in the opposite party. In Europe, I mean, and how to manage people and how to keep the will of constituents at bay to make sure that their organization, or at least their branch, their wing of an organization, is going to be in power for a little while longer to bring in a little bit more, chip away. And what he's talking about right now, we've discussed many times whenever European elections are brought up. Germany, Italy, France, when you see the these incredible efforts for people to use parliamentary tricks to cobble together coalitions to make sure that you can block out any kind of organic upswell inside of a nation, any one nation out there in Europe that wants some kind of change. And it's always moderate change, but they are called radicals, far right lunatics. And it's, and of course, because they are far right, labeled that way, I guess that is just permission that is granted to the the current power vacuum over, or the current regime, to keep them on the outskirts and not even legitimize anything that they're bringing to the table and the people that they are representing, which is a growing and legitimate portion of the society. Which is, it's crazy. Like, this is all they work on, is how to be able to keep people on the outside. They always talk about marginalization and shit like that. But this is the most important aspect of it. So I hope, I don't know. I would love to hear from some of our European friends out there, especially if you are somewhere around Western, Central Europe. You're here, if you're seeing this, how much of this is covered. You know, we always see so much of these rallies or any of these speeches and stuff that are cut off. We get the sound bites, whatever. But I would love to know how much of this your media is covering. I want to know what your neighbors are saying about it. Because, yeah, I know JD Vance tied to Donald Trump. That's a ticket right there that's just as provocative as any out there. But what is he saying that's not being articulated in a very smart way? You know, what is he saying that is being said? Like, is it really that unrelatable? I would love to know from all of our European friends that listen to this show. Write in, let me know. You can just tell me, listen, it's falling upon deaf ears where I live. My neighborhood doesn't care. They can't stand JD Vance and they can't stand Trump. They think the whole thing is terrible and they love the migrants and all that shit. You're telling me that nothing he says makes sense? Nothing? I would love to hear that, because I don't know where to go for that kind of feedback. And it made this whole thing made this man, what's his name? Christoph Heusgen. He's the chairman of the Munich Security Conference since 2022. It made this man weep. Okay? This is why Europe's in the shape it is. This is why the whole world's in the shape it is. Consider the West. This is the state of the West right here.
With Ewald von Kleist, this conference started as a transatlantic conference. After the speech of Vice President Vance on Friday, we have to fear that our common value base is not that common anymore.
What is your common value base? Like, you think about this. What is not commonly held? What about what he said is something that you cannot hold in common? I mean, where? What is it?
I'm very grateful to all those European politicians that spoke out and reaffirmed the values and principles that they are defending.
What is that? What is it? Empty platitudes, policies that none of the snobby pricks in that room have to deal with like the average person does, because they live in villas, they're far away, they're in the countryside, they're in mountain encampments. Oh, God, I hate rooms like this. I hate rooms like this.
No one did this better than President Zelensky. Let me conclude. And
oh, yeah, they bring up Saint Zelensky now.
This becomes difficult.
It becomes difficult. There you go. We love you, Christoph. We love you. We know. We know. I know. Fucking, this is ridiculous. I can't do this.
I can't do this. I can't do this.
Just gave up. I can't. All Europe is falling away. They don't want their migrants. What's the point? This is it angers me. Angers me. These weak, quizzling fucks. Angers me. Man, oh man. I'll tell you, man. Low tide at the pier. Low tide at the pier. We'll do the CBS thing on the other side of this. But I'll tell you, I over the weekend, we went out to dinner. I took Lauren and Aurora out to dinner. And we had a wonderful time. But halfway through dinner, a couple of stereotypical old Westchester Democrats, all Jewish, of course, because they couldn't stop talking about it. Much to Lauren and I's dismay, were sat right next to us in another corner table over there in this nice restaurant that we went to. And their conversation just kept bleeding into our corner. And it couldn't be about anything normal. It's just terrible commentary, nonstop. We're talking about two couples in their 80s. Nonstop commentary about vaccines and RFK. One of the browbeaten husbands, one of the browbeaten men over there that has been worn down over the decades by the nonstop yapping of the women. One of the browbeaten men spoke up about some piece of Louisiana legislation on vaccine mandate leniency or whatever the hell it was, whether it's true or not, whatever the hell it is, what they believe it. The man goes, and I heard him. I said, he said, and my first thought was, I can't think of anybody in Louisiana worth saving. I looked at Lauren because, we're eating, so we're not all talking like it was during appetizers, me, Lauren, and Aurora. So now at this point, we're all eating and we're, whatever. There's moments of silence. You're just eating. So at that point, you hear things a little bit. And we looked at each other like, this is a fucking, I said to her, it came out a little bit louder. I said, what a monstrous person. What a monstrous person. And this is what's left of the Democrat Party. This is what's left of them. It's low tide at the pier. Anyone with a conscience is gone. Or they are just weak, obedient, just want to keep what's left of my friends. Weak and obedient. Everybody, I'm telling you, it's fucked. Yet these four elderly progressives in their 80s, I'd say. Trans community this, trans community that. Well, so-and-so with he, she, son, daughter. Oh, yeah, he's trans. He's trans. 80 years old, talking about, like what, does it keep you young to be talking about all these new hip mental illnesses? This is crazy. It's crazy. It's low tide at the pier. We're being hit with remarks about on which countries some of their liberal expat friends are fleeing to because of one situation or condition or sexual proclivity or another. Apparently there's a burgeoning American expat community in Portugal and Costa Rica. Like, good, fucking get out of here. Get out of here. Don't come back. But eventually they stop bragging about how much money they give to one cause or another, or how 86% of one judicial circuit or another is all Democrat judges, and they just started talking about show tunes instead. So that was nice because, no one's as cultured as these parasites are. So, but it was almost too much to bear. But then, we chilled out. Lauren and I, we just started talking louder. We just threw all of our attention into Aurora and all that stuff. And I just remembered, no one's got it worse than these old crones. 4 Jim Henson Skeksis characters in the corner, sitting at a corner table. And that's really that is what is being forced to walk off stage at the Munich security conference, crying like a baby. That's what's being forced to crying. That's what's going on now. These 80-year-old psychopaths. Okay? They are squeezing all of the future out of their I'm happy for it. That's why I don't care. Just as long as these truths are spoken out loud, I'm happy with it. And when we get back, we'll show you more of what's left. Anyway, it's 8:05. This is the halfway point, and thank you so much for being here so far. It'll only be about a 90-second spot, so don't go anywhere.
C13.
What's that?
Oh, gee. Night, Bobby.
Quite frankly, he's amazing.
All right, let me get through this because I want to take your calls. And this is turning into actually a little bit more of a dense show than I had thought. But things are just coming out. They're just coming out of me. What do you want me to do? All right, so here's what we have. Well, first of all, let me get to the super chats real quick. 23 minutes ago, Jay Britz. Hey, Jay Britz, Mr. Jeff. Thank you so much for that. Jeff just gave us 2 Trump challenge coins. They just came in the mail today, and he said you should give these away on air. I'm definitely going to. I think people really like them, so I'll probably throw those out there and do a call-in contest a couple of times to probably maybe tomorrow. So, coming your way by Jay Britz. Frank, major findings coming out of DOGE, just scratching the surface. Now to see if we have a DOJ with a backbone. The backbone to do anything with it, and a Congress to safeguard against it recurring, if only. Awesome show tonight. Thank you. Major findings? New major findings? Well, I'd like to hear all about that. So we'll get into that in just a second. Go over to Rumble to see if there's any Rumble rants that need to be. Nothing there. Hey, Rumble. It's one thing to have no rants with 1,400 people in the chat room, but I can get through the entire chat room history by just scrolling down once. Talk to each other. Come on now. Come on, be representative here. Talk to each other. Talk. All right, here we go. Let me see. Over at Rumble, over at Quite Frankly.tv. Justina, y'all, thank you so much. Hello, my friend Sean Joe, Porpoiseful, Braves Piano. You guys are hanging out in there. I like to see it. And over on Rumble, what's this thing? Let's see, Jackson 1837. Just want to get this out there. Jackson 1837 says 3 Little Birds was saying we can't vote our way out of this 5 months ago. You're right. You haven't won one lick about voting is useless in 4 months. Those problems have not been fixed at all. This can't go on. This cannot go on. And not only has nothing really been, the ground game was there. This was able to be overcome. But the bigger problem that we've been talking about, remember, is that Donald Trump is a solitary figure who holds all of the allure and magnetism that created success this last cycle. And there's nothing else out there. The Republican Party has absolutely no appeal, nothing. There's nothing there. So there's big questions about what can be done in a bulldozer kind of a sense to make permanent what's being exposed now. It's really just about what can be done in 4 years to maybe disclose, to leave a mark on people. and to want more of it no matter who the hell it is. And I don't know. That's it. And again, tomorrow we're going to be talking about that very thing tomorrow, voting. We're going to be talking about this tomorrow, okay, with Marley Hornick. So there's going to be no punches pulled in less than 24 hours from now about how bad things are in these respective states. So tune in tomorrow. That's I don't know what to say, but we've gone over all that from election day till today multiple times. So it's not just like that. Oh, it went away and everybody believes that voting is foolproof and all that other stuff. No, there's a lot that went into this past win. Now, whether or not people get what they think is gonna come out of it, it's always about results, and we'll see. But here we go into the CBS news story that I thought was really amazing. And when you pair it with what JD Vance was talking about in Munich, I mean, my God. Here is, I don't know who she is for CBS, sitting down with 3 German freaks who are breaking down the art of arresting German citizens for sharing memes and offensive cartoons. Okay? Well, look at that smile. Hold on, let's get that smile.
Because in internet, it stays there.
There you go. Hold on. Wait, she loves it. No, go back. I want to see that face again, damn it. I want to see the face again.
Is it a crime to insult somebody in public?
Yes. Yes, it is.
And
it's a crime to insult. There she is. Why? Smiling like a child who's asking her grandfather to tell her a story that she loves. Can you tell me that story again, Grandpa? All of her friends would be in jail if the same rules applied in the U.S. And of course, if the rules were applied evenly, that is, because we know what direction this is going in. All right, this is what the Munich creep was crying about. Why? She's being told. Why this face? Like, this facial expression means everything. Like, she's so curious, and this is just that. I love this. This is just so interesting. Maybe, I've never considered it before, but perhaps we should listen to what you're doing. You seem to have a much better society. You like what? Like let me learn from you. Look at that face. Like, if she's learning about the Uyghurs or the concentration camps, the Falun Gong in China, can you imagine asking the police over there? Oh yes, if you are if you practice any of these things in public or online, it's even more. Why? I want to know more about that. Like this face disturbs me. I'm sorry. Sorry to be hung up on this face. I don't even know who the hell she is. But no, that's not that. What you just said before. If you get insulted in public, you can get arrested. I insult you, you insult me, finished. You just said before that's a crime. So you're both going to jail?
But if you in the internet, if I insult you or a politician,
that sticks around forever.
Yeah.
It sticks around forever. I see where you're going. I haven't put this together. It sticks around forever. It does. Like she's oh God. Stomach turns. Fucking stomach turning. Oh, here they are. Look, they're at the desk. Oh, look. The statistics show. Game planning. I love these little B-roll shots of everybody, looking very studious, and they're just hard at work.
The prosecutors explain German law also prohibits the spread of malicious gossip.
Yes, here's the gossip clause. Yes, right here, gossip clause. It's like Santa Claus's cousin, gossip clause. So we can reboast it. It's essentially, this is incredible. The fact that this even got any time on 60 Minutes. Because you know what this means. This means that the 4 old crones, the Skeksis, that I was sitting next to with Lauren for our Valentine's Day dinner on Saturday night, the Skeksis, who are the only ones watching 60 Minutes these days, they're saying the same thing. Well, we should do the same thing over here. The Nazis everywhere. We should do that. I like it. Repeat offenders. And then here's the best part, if you want to call it that, because CBS was not finished. They got to follow European police as they arrested citizens for sharing cartoons. Okay? They got to go with them. This is like, in a weird way, Interview with the Vampire, when Louis settled for drinking blood of rats in the sewer for sustenance instead of people. But the only issue is that Louis was doing it out of good conscience. Okay, he had a crisis of conscience. And he chose to feed on the rats because he didn't want to harm human beings. So he was actually showing virtue. He was a virtuous character in that respect. In his dumpster diving, okay? He chose to go dumpster diving because he was being virtuous. He rather would eat the rats than harm human beings. CBS is following the police around in Europe, hungry, so hungry to relive the days of tagging along for pre-dawn FBI raids of Trump associates in the United States. They want to put the screws to Americans so bad, but they have to settle for terrorizing Europeans over memes. A cheap thrill, but they're jonesing for it. That they're going along with these pre-dawn raids for memes is incredible. The Nazis won. The real Nazis won. Oh, man. Yeah, World War II didn't wrap up the way we thought it did, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe some of you are starting to get that now. Some of you have already been there. There was some idiot on Twitter who was underneath one of these postings of CBS and stuff. And they wanted to give us some sort of an explanation, a deeper understanding of the retardation that we just watched or listened to. And they said, greetings from Germany. In the end, a judge will decide if it was an insult, but you need to feel offended and actually file a report, though. Okay, you need to feel offended and file a report. That's number one. For instance, already my eyes have glazed over. A judge will decide if it was an insult. Fuck you and your judge. I guess I'm not going to Germany anytime soon. This show alone, I'm probably on a no-fly list. For instance, said the simp, if I call you an asshole and you just shrug it off, it's all fine. If you feel insulted and file a report, the police are committed to investigate and file a report for a state attorney. The attorney decides if it is worth bringing it to court, and finally, a judge decides if it was an insult and can make you pay a fine. I say, well, thank you for the explanation. Now I have a much deeper understanding of this multi-tiered retardation in Germany. They have really just, my gosh, the German people used to be innovators. And look what they have been subjected to ever since World War I. Look what they have been subjected to. Holy shit. Holy shit. It's just incredible. Anyway, God, how tragic. Okay, let's open up the lines. 914 56. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the old one. 914-200-0269. Give me a buzz. Because if I go to the next thing right now, then the World Government Summit, Elon Musk's his comments about AI. I want to do those in a little bit, and then I have comments about Elon Musk from the great Catherine Austin Fitz that I want to do. So it's 8:22. I'll leave a little bit of room for calls right now before I get into the next thing, because I don't know. I'll be wrapping up around 8:55. So we can get on with Film Club. 914-200-0269. Take a really quick break. When we come back, your calls. 914-200-0269.
I'll catch you.
That's not what I meant to do. Hey, want to start your day fresh and stimulate your taste buds at the same time? Try the Quite Frankly Elevation Blend Coffee, brought to you by the Coffee Revolution in Davenport, Iowa. An uplifting mix of Ethiopian, Mexican, and Peruvian estate beans and roasted to first crack. Guaranteed to have you coming back for more. And as if you needed more reason to enjoy a fresh pot, Did you know that healthy consumption of caffeine has been linked with longevity, lower risk of cardiovascular disease, boosts progesterone, increases in thyroid function, increases in metabolism, mood, and even testosterone after working out? And here's some free advice. Upon waking, drink at least 12 ounces of water with some sea salt. This will leave you hydrated and energized, and then an hour later, have your first cup of Quite Frankly Elevation Blend coffee. You will feel like moving mountains and making babies. So choose a smooth, organic light roast with my stupid face on the bag to inject some life into your daily routine. Quite Frankly, Elevation Blend Coffee is linked at the affiliates page on quitefrankly.tv. All right, 914-200-0269. Give me a buzz. Want to hear what you have to say about this stuff and anything else? I don't know. I was really taken for a ride with the JD Vance speech. I just thought it was really well executed. Very, very seldom do speeches really just like hit the spot. Like, all right, cool, good, well articulated. Let's do it. 208, you're on the air. What's going on, Coulter?
Hey, Frank, it's Coulter. How are you?
Good to have you on.
My screen name's Trebulence. We played some Call of Duty the other day.
Oh, it was wonderful playing. Yeah, me and Trebulence and Fawcett on, what was it? Was it Saturday or it was Saturday afternoon, right?
Yeah, Saturday.
It's a lot of fun. We played some Call of Duty. I just put it out there on Twitch and we kicked some ass together. Good.
We did. Hey, I had a story. I haven't called in before, but I had a story. So much talk of the spending and taxes and all this. I had a story that I kind of wanted to share.
Go ahead.
It's mostly on my mom's side of the family. She had an uncle. And again, I live in a little small town in Idaho. And everybody kind of knew everybody. You know, the story happens about, I'd say, back in the 80s. And one of my mom's uncles, who had refused to pay his federal tax year after year. Well, my family at that time, they all lived on the same street. It was all Bassett's on that same street. And on that side of the family, there were so many brothers and sisters, and they all looked the same. Well, the feds in this little town of, at the time, probably 1,000 people, the feds rolled up to one of my uncle's houses in an armored van with machine guns, demanding that he come out, and they were going to take him up because he never paid the feds. Well, they scooped up my mom's wrong uncle because they all looked the same and they all lived on the same street. They scooped up the wrong one and packed him off. And shortly later, they come to find out that they in fact did get the wrong guy. Well, he ends up getting back home, and the real one, he basically flees town, leaves the state. He's always working under the table. You're talking about how so many people, are being paid under the table. Well, he flees town. He goes to California, and he's working some under the table job. And the family come to find out, we get news that he's been killed, and he's on his way to work. He's got to cross some street to get to work, and he's walking his way to work, and some unmarked white van jumps across the curb and onto the sidewalk and smokes him, kills him in cold blood, and takes off after that, never to be seen or found again.
Jeez.
And that's so it's crazy to me that you hear these stories of people, oh, I haven't paid my federal taxes in 4 or 5 years. And then you got guys like me, I'm forking out so much money every year. the whole system is just completely like there is no formality to it whatsoever. Like how so many things get slipped through the cracks.
I can't wait to do this show on March 5th with our guest. I really can't wait to do it. We've done it once before, but that guest, I even forget his name, but that guest sucked, if you ask me. And I had a lot of questions, and I didn't get anything really good, but good as far as answers come from that. But Brandon Williams, who will be on with me, he does so well in being precise, and he's a lawyer, and I can't wait to ask these questions because it does seem very, very random that some people get really just screwed by to the umpteenth degree. Others claim that they have lived, decades without any interference from the law, but they're living like, quiet lives out of public eye. In no way, shape, or form do I see this taxation, the system that we're in, as moral or legitimate. So I'm not looking for any kind of philosophical or moral reasoning for rejecting what we're living under right now. I only pay my taxes to keep myself out of jail. This is not like some patriotic duty of mine. All right. This is the whole system is set up to hate us and to take from us. So I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for a little bit of sense in the legal respect, what you're talking about there. How can any of this be universalized for people? And what do we need as far as critical mass or some kind of a movement, or, what the hell is necessary, and what do people have on their side if they really do want to take the chance and rolling the dice and living that way? Because for every success story out there, there's 15 more families that have been absolutely destroyed. So
well, and this, in this case, it's like a public execution, because now, my family and everybody in the community is like, oh my God, we have to pay taxes or they'll kill us.
So that's what I can see why, to be honest. If that were my family story, I can see why everybody would just assume that he was taken out as well. But is there any doubters in the family? Oh, it was just a freak accident or anything like that? Why would the feds just run him over instead of apprehending him wherever they found him and making him, it's one thing to take the guy out. But if he's just a regular old person who doesn't have some kind of a defense industry background or something like that, if he just owes money, then why not make a public example of him by just, raking him over the coals? Why kill him?
Yeah. It seems extreme, and it just raises more questions than it solves, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally understand why you guys, at least some of you, would assume that, because when you get involved with the federal government in that way, and all of a sudden you guys have an adversarial relationship, then I think that a lot of people would assume their intentions could be extreme, or their willingness to go to the extreme, I would say. But yeah, I don't know. Did he work for a DARPA or anything like that? Did he have information outside of owing money to the feds in income taxes? Did he have information? Because information is usually what gets you killed, not $50,000 in back taxes.
To be honest, I'm not sure, and I'll talk to my mother too, because she knows the story a little bit more. That's kind of the quick version, but to my knowledge, he's just an average guy. I mean, like I said, at that time, there's only a few thousand people in the town now. At that time, I bet there was only 1,500, maybe 2,000 people in the town. It's a little town. We don't have anybody in town that has information. That sort of thing just doesn't exist.
Well, you know what? At the very least, Coulter, at the very least, your uncle would still be alive if he didn't have to go to the mattresses, flee town because he's got the feds after him because they wanted their share of whatever he was earning in his life. So whether it was a hit or whether it was just a terrible way for a life to end, I mean, he would have lived past that point, no doubt about it, if he wasn't on the run. So that's something to put out there.
Yeah. If you talk to my family, they all 100% believe that it was the feds and the government. Maybe that can't be proved, but I mean, it's an old story, but I mean, it's a true one. So I have no reason to not believe it.
Well, whatever you do, don't miss the March 5th show. That's going to be a great conversation.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
All right, brother. Well, I'll talk to you soon, and keep a lookout for us when we are live on Twitch, because I want to play more with people, members of the audience. It was great to have you guys jump in on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it was a good time, and good to call in and chat with you for a minute.
All right, take care, brother.
See you, Frank.
See you later. Let me see. I just got tagged in something on Gilded. Numbers of individuals sentenced to tax fraud offenses over time. U.S. Sentencing Commission, fiscal year 2019 through fiscal year 2023, data files. Let's see here. 400. So about 500 people. Number of individuals sentenced to tax fraud offenses over time. In 2019, only 500 people? Is that what I'm looking at? 2020? 250 to 300, around there? About 350 in 2021. 2022, just about 400, and 363 in 2023. So if I'm reading these numbers correctly, that's not that bad. That's not that bad. But then it just seems like a very, very low number for me to get the anecdotes that come in. Either way, I don't know. I'll take that and I'll keep it for our March show. Maybe that's just something I can ask about in particular. You know, what is actually put into finding and prosecuting people on this basis. I know a lot of people are wondering, because I'm almost done gathering all my information, expenses, income, all that stuff, and then I'll get the terrible news of what checks have to be written, and then I will throw up for 3 days. And after the third day, I don't know. 914-200-0269. Come on, cheer me up now. Quite frankly, superchat.com. SL Panama says, wishing your family a happy week. Same to you, Panama. Same to you. I'm wishing you all warmth. Larkstar says, Frank, what a treat to see and hear Aurora on Valentine's Day show out of the blue say, I love this show. Oh, it wasn't out of the blue. If you listened a little bit further, she was put up to it by my mother. But I think she loves the show. If she didn't like the show, she wouldn't like, oh, daddy's talking to the microphone in there. I'm going to crack. Her little entrances over here. She loves it. She's just a 4-year-old. That's the 4-year-old. She's just a 4-year-old. What are you going to do? They say things that you wish they wouldn't say in public. Like, you know, dad, like calling me grumpy. Just melted our hearts. Your pretty mom nudged her, and your beautiful bride, Lauren, together with you, make the sweetest show of 2025. I'm glad you liked it. Oh, yeah, she gave her a nudge, all right. Thank you so much. Let's take a call. All right. 609, you're on the air. Go ahead, New Jersey.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. I'm sorry. I wanted to call and talk about Musk and DOGE.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, my favorite was, I don't know if you've talked about it. They went into one of the nuclear agencies and canned like 300 people, not realizing that they actually need those people. I mean,
a nuclear?
That's a waste.
What do you mean? No, I didn't see I didn't see anything about nuclear agency. But there's only 300 people there or something? Or I didn't see this. There's so much to be missed because there's so much happening. But this nuclear I did not see.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the folks that oversee our nukes and safety and things of that nature, that's overrated. I don't think we really need them. They should just get rid of them.
Yeah, perhaps. Perhaps, sure.
Yeah. Who needs those people?
Yeah, who needs them?
Exactly. And I think it's great sending in a bunch of 22-year-old computer hackers
with
flamethrowers
Yes.
That's great. I mean, what could go wrong?
I don't know, but you know, it would be easier. It'd be easier if Congress did what it's supposed to do and close all the agencies down because they were never supposed to be there in the first place. So we wouldn't need we wouldn't need to pull the skirt up on all this shit to show how illegitimate and wasteful and you know, it's a criminal enterprise that you're seeing in most instances. So
yeah. And
what else?
You know what? And with all the cuts at USAID, one of my favorites was we were apparently spending money like having NGOs or our own people go to places like Cameroon and Congo.
Yeah.
Like if some kind of horrible disease like Ebola or something we don't even know about sprung up, that's such a waste.
It is.
You know, we should just let those diseases come here.
No.
Because wouldn't it be cheaper to fight them here?
Yeah, I know, isn't it? It wouldn't be interesting how every time there's an Ebola scare, it's always after somebody flies a person into the United States, and we have we bring patient 0 here to the United States. We always get an Ebola scare after the fact. What else do you have?
There's so much. Like, you know what they were doing too?
What?
They were like funding a demining program in Cambodia.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what do I give a shit whether Cambodian kids get their legs blown off? That's not my problem.
You're right. It's not. It's right. You're right, Pennington, New Jersey. It's not your problem.
Right. And instead, you know what?
Yeah. You're making
we'll get out of Cambodia.
I'm glad
you're out of Cambodia.
Yeah.
And let's just have the Chinese and their road and belt program. They'll go in and fill the vacuum.
Yeah.
Won't that be great?
You know what we should do? You know what we should do? We should send you over there, Mr. Rambo, and you can fight the Chinese out of Cambodia, and you can fight the Chinese out of Kenya. You can win back all the ports over there. You can go over there and you can clean up the entire Apple lithium mines, and you can do it all. Why are you here in cushy New Jersey when you can go to Africa and save the fucking world? Why are you here?
Have you ever heard the saying, throwing the baby out with the bathwater?
Yes, I have, but it's not our baby.
Is anything more appropriate?
Listen, it's not our baby, sir. It's not our baby. Have you ever? Is everybody in Africa a child? Is every adult in Africa just an absolute knuckle dragging retard?
Because what happens in the rest of the world? What happens in the rest of the world? How could that ever adversely affect us? That couldn't, right? It's like 1800.
You see the disability with this guy. This is the guy. These are the people that these are the people I was sitting next to at the restaurant. These are the people. It doesn't matter what is. They talk about checks and balances. It's in a nominal way. They don't give it. They're out there taking your money. It doesn't any congressional. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. You can't get through to them. They have all the answers. It's incredible.
As opposed to the brain surgeons like you,
yes,
doing podcasts and preaching about the deep state and other ridiculous things.
Listen, you fucking retard from New Jersey. You can talk about whatever the hell you want all the time about brain surgeons this, brain surgeons that. You don't need to be a brain surgeon to understand where the line in the sand is. Okay? It's not our business. You have no authority to send money out there. I don't care if you're feeding kids, which is an objectively good thing. There are ways to do that voluntarily. You can go into business yourself. You can create a charitable organization, Doctors Without Borders, something like that. You can go and people can put their vocation to the test. And you, my friend, my do-gooder friend, you can give all the money you want to people like that. In fact, you can actually raise money here in the United States with all of your do-gooder friends and make sure that it is funded directly with no middleman, with no cut, with no grift, with no greasing of the palms along the way. No. That would be too much work. You just want somebody to do it for me so I can feel like a good guy over here in New Jersey, picking my toenails. You fucking asshole. These people are so fucking stupid. They think they're smart. They're so fucking stupid. I'm not, I'm no brain surgeon. I don't pretend to be. I don't pretend to be. Brain surgeons didn't make our Constitution, And there's a reason why it was there. It's very simple, philosophically sound logic. And it's because people like you, Mr. Do-Gooder, think that you can go out and you have the right and the mandate to make the world into a better place. And we're the only ones worthy, because we're the only adults. The only adults are in Washington, D.C. Louisiana can't take care of themselves. They need to have their diapers changed by Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders. Cameroon, forget about it. Cameroon, diapers, please. Oh my God, what about Ebola? What about Ebola? Have you heard about Ebola? What a fucking idiot. 850, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank.
How are you?
Brian from Kentucky.
What's going on, man? Good to hear from you.
Good. Oh, your last caller. Humorous. Anyway.
Please, some people need something to do.
Yeah, Anyway, Wild Man and the Church Lady. Those are my call signs.
Oh, really? I like that.
Well, I went to the Naval Academy and I tried to replicate Animal House the best I could. I did a pretty fair job, and that's where I got the nickname, and it stuck into my aviation career. And then one of my wives was called the Church Lady, so we were Wild Man and the Church Lady. So,
Wild Man and Church. I see. Those are great. Those are great code names. I really appreciate this. Thank you for breaking up the seriousness of the moment, my friend.
Right, and I love what happened in Germany. I was born in Germany. My father was in the U.S. Army, so my mother was American, but I just happened to be born in a German hospital. Not even so. I'm a little embarrassed about that now. The way they're handling our vice president's talk.
I mean, it's just one of those things where you can see where the general culture is when our vice president can go to Munich and pull together 15 very coherent minutes of talk, and they'll literally cry and walk out and have to be held. I mean, the guy had to be held.
Yeah.
So
Munich was where the Islamic terrorists killed a bunch of Jewish people in the Olympics in '72.
I just
forget that.
I don't. But again, what are we watching? What are we watching when someone like JD Vance goes into that room and tells his speech?
Yeah.
It's one guy breaking up the unanimous LARP that's going on there, the whole role playing game that they're playing with each other. There's never anybody that is representing any true oppositional stance, no opinion that is in.
It's not the people's will. It's these people that somehow get elected.
Yeah.
So, it was the same thing here, by hook or by crook, usually both. And, but anyway. And one other thing I wanted to say. Everybody wants to say, Elon wasn't elected. But he was de facto, because it's not like he came on after the election, after Trump won. They were talking about this, and he was going to be doing this well before the election took place. So he was actually, that was elected.
Hey, you know what? And thank you for the call. I don't care when the hell it happened. Every president, whether you like them or not, comes into office and surrounds himself with advisors and cabinet members that he believes is going to help advance his agenda. That's it. Say, we didn't elect Elon. You didn't elect anything that Bill Clinton brought in, that George Bush, any of the Bushes brought in, Obama. You didn't elect anybody other than the guy and perhaps their vice president. If even that, God knows how many of those elections were actually, who the hell knows? But good God, what about the nuclear facilities? I don't know. Indian Point. I wish our nuclear facility in Indian Point was still up. I mean, that's state. I mean, there's a lot of oversight there. But that's what I like to see. Right now, we're talking about $1 trillion a year scams. Far more than that. You're just looking at just Social Security alone. This is what I was talking about. People on the air, CBS, the 60-minute types, who talk and put together broadcasts that largely will just be absorbed by Mr. New Jersey and people like his aunts and his his parents. What you have there is you have people who are being scared into thinking that, oh, they're coming after me. They're coming after my personal data. They're, Elon Musk and Donald Trump are going through all of our tax information, and they're going to keep the money for themselves. I'm sure some people believe that shit or something. And really, in actuality, what you're looking at here is the identification of so much extra that you can call waste, but that would be short-sighted to call it waste. So much extra that if you got rid of trillions, and the math that we were just talking about before with Social Security alone was nearly $800 million. And that is just off the top without actually doing any digging and more nuanced tweaking of the whole thing. You are talking about trillions of dollars that can be halted, stopped, and investigated without anybody who actually receives Social Security benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever the hell it is, ever being affected. Because when you think about millions of people over the age of 106, 120 years old that are still actively receiving benefits and all that shit, I mean, we're talking about so much that you can cut off entire slabs of this operation without anybody ever feeling it. Unless, of course, they're being told by hyperventilating morons that they're going to feel it, that they're being stolen from, that unelected presidents are coming to get it's incredible. So I'm happy. And yeah. Anyway, what are we going to do? We'll see what comes next, obviously. Let's go to the super chats one more time because it's almost time to start Film Club, baby. 5 minutes. Interstellar. Talking Interstellar. The worst, so here we go. Captain Flint says the worst spenders are people who spend other people's money on other people. Friedman. Oh, you know what? We should talk about, we should do Milton Friedman the whole night. I'm going to get Milton Friedman clips. Yeah, the worst spenders are people who spend other people's money on other people. It makes them feel good right here. Right here. They're smart. They see the big picture. Of course, the biggest picture is you can't steal. And representation without, taxation without representation, that's what we have here. It's not legal. But it's part of our tradition to steal now. It's not constitutional, but it's part of our tradition to steal because we're good. We do good when we steal and spread it around to all of our friends. And we can fall back on saying things like nukes and all that other shit. We can feel good about ourselves. So that is totally illegitimate, and it needs to be laughed out the door. Laughed out the door. There's no counter to it. You can bring up all the amazing things that are being done with the money that you stole and how horrible you would be to stop that grift. Fuck it. Don't care. You're not an American. That's not an American proposition. It's not American law. So, sorry. All right, you know what? I'm going to have to do this DOGE stuff tomorrow. As far as the AI, the unbiased AI stuff. That and Catherine Austin Fitts. So I'm going to have to tinker with the bio and the description of this episode. We have some bleed over for tomorrow because it's 8:52 and there's really nothing I can do to slip this in because I'd really like to get you guys and gals the call on it. But I'm actually happier that we took the calls. I would much rather do that than speak for the whole 2 hours without end. So that's what we have. Let me get over into the super chats over on Rumble and elsewhere and make sure that we're good. We're good to go for tonight. Let's see here. Manene says, love the show, Frank. Thank you, Manene. It's wonderful to have you out there. And then also, yep, that's what I got. Did Captain Flint before. We're all set up. Good to go. Perfect. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to keep it there. Tomorrow, we're going to have a big night of call-ins because we'll be talking about celebrity interactions and all that other stuff. And that should be a lot of fun. I will see. I just got some news that my prospective guests for tomorrow may not be able to make it. So one way or another, it'll be you and I will be doing pretty good. Thank you, Sentinel, for just sending a tip through the through pill.net as well. And the after hours on quitefrankly.tv are just about to begin. Here's what we got going on. While we are doing Film Club, this is what is going to be open for all on quitefrankly.tv. Mark Dice, Upper Echelon, Idiocracy is Becoming Real. Asmongold TV, You Don't Hate the Media Enough. Jason Burmis with Cornel West and Robert P. George, Truth Matters. Crazy Days and Nights, Sex Scandals and Curses, The Onassis Family. And then an Art Bell kicker with Larry Wilson, Revelations and the End Times. So a really nice Monday evening on quitefrankly.tv. Have yourself a good time. Thank you so much for the calls and everything else. We'll do more of that tomorrow, and you guys kick ass. Thank you and good night.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience, and now our Super Chatters. Starring SL Panama, Larkstar 444, and Jay Britz. Thank you so much. Over on Rumble, we have Menene. And on Pilled, Sean Joe, Porpoiseful, Braves Piano, Captain Flint, The Sentient, Justina Y'all. It's great. I'll be releasing the scratching, and I'll also be dumping out the D Live treasure chest. So you guys have yourself a good night. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Take care. Also